All right, what's going on, guys? What a win tonight for San Diego State over Fresno State up at the Save Mart Center. The win you were hoping for, obviously. You get the result you're looking for, and then you get the margin as well. So, John Schaefer with you. It is the wrap-up show. There's a lot to get into. I mean, what does it mean in terms of the Mountain West standings in the regular season from a metric perspective? 3 regular season games remain. Everything's still a possibility for San Diego State. And again, off Tuesday against Utah State, where San Diego State had some chances late to pick up a win like this tonight. What more could you ask for? I mean, it was almost as well as you can play for 40 minutes. They really never took their foot off the gas, is what I would say, in the second half. I mean, 12-0 at the onset, another 12-0 run in the first half, 40-10 at one point, and then outscoring Fresno State in the second half. And the good news, I thought, and I want to hear from you, by the way, in the live chat if you're here on replay in the comments as well. The good news for me was one player played 30 minutes. That was Jaedon. Jaedon LeDee only played 26 minutes. I mean, he impacted the game like the All-American that he is, but he did it in 26 minutes. Had the 22 points, had the 11 rebounds, had a career-high 3 blocks, had a couple of assists, didn't turn the ball over. I know Fresno State's been shorthanded, and, obviously they have a former Aztec assistant in Justin Hudson. And, they haven't been healthy. They just haven't been healthy. But don't take away what San Diego State accomplished here tonight, even though Fresno State was shorthanded. So impressive all around, 73-41. Get ready now Tuesday night for San Jose State at Viejas Arena at 8 o'clock. One of those games that, again, for San Diego State to win a Mountain West regular season title, they can't slip up and they need help. They'll need to beat San Jose State Tuesday, so make sure to be there. We know how crazy this league is. If you remember the first San Jose State game, it came down to the final possession. If not for J. Powell's block from behind, who knows if the Aztecs even win the game. And if you've been watching today in the Mountain West, New Mexico lost at home to Air Force. And that type of result isn't overly surprising in this league because teams are seeing each other for a second time, and there's pressure on teams at the top of the league, and teams are trying to get to the Mountain West tournament, and it's hard to win. It's hard to win. So San Jose State, got to get that game, obviously, at home. So make sure to be there, be loud. It's the second to last home game of the year. And then UNLV. And UNLV is one of the most interesting cases in the Mountain West. Some of the best wins in the league, some of the worst losses you could argue as well. 32-point home loss to Air Force, 3 ranked wins this year for the first time, I think, since 2013. They have talent. We saw it on display at Viejas about a month and a half ago or so. Now, the Aztecs do have a bye into that game, so they have a week from Tuesday until they play in Vegas the following Tuesday. And then the quick turnaround, Boise State senior night, where a lot is going to be on the line. I mean, whether a regular season title is on the line or not, it could be on the line for Boise State potentially. So the Aztecs, should they get through San Jose State on Tuesday, may be playing for a perfect home record in 2023-24 as well. So a ton to get to. San Diego State convincingly, obviously, tonight, 73-41. I'll be with you, let's say, for the next 30 or 40 minutes. So if you're new here, whether you're here live or on replay, please subscribe. Year-round content for Aztec fans talking Mountain West basketball and football primarily. Please smash the like button for me. You can follow me on X or Twitter at John Schaefer. That is JONSCHAEFFER at John Schaefer. Appreciate the super chats. I'll get to every single super chat. It's a great way to support the channel and my work. Just click the $ below the chat box. I'll try to get to every single comment here in the chat as well. And you can become a member as well by clicking the join button down below. I also want to shout out our title sponsor, Eric Lanier at Higher Impact Financial, who is in the chat here tonight. I've been telling you about him. Myself, my family, we've been working with them. You can set up a free 15-minute consultation if you have any type of financial need. Want to set up a 15-minute consultation with Eric Lanier, and he will get you on the path that you're looking for financially. So he can really help you with a financial plan, talk about retirement, tax purposes as well. If you have any needs, Eric Lanier can help you out. Click the link in the description down below. Set up a free 15-minute consultation with Eric, who's a big supporter of the channel, a big Aztecs fan as well, by clicking that link in the description down below. I'll tell you about more about Eric as we roll along here over the next 30 minutes as well. So let's start with this first super chat of the night from Kevin, who is a loyal viewer and supporter of my work. So I appreciate you, Kevin. Appreciate the super chat. I do. He says, can you lay out the conference tiebreaker terms? Not fully, because I don't know if I fully know them, Kevin, but I think I have this right. And if someone in the chat is here live or on replay that can clarify to a greater degree, you can do that as well. I think if it's a two-way tie for the Mountain West title, let's say in this hypothetical, It's San Diego State and Utah State because the Aztecs win their next 3 games. Although Boise State could be in there as well. But just for the sake of my argument right now, let's say it's a 2-team race. I don't know what it looks like in a 3-team race right now, although I think it's the same tiebreaker potentially. In a 2-team race, it's head-to-head. But if it's against Utah State, you're split head-to-head. Then it's record against the next best team in the league as you go down. So, like, for example, if San Diego State went 1-1 against third place in the league, but Utah State went 2-0, then Utah State would have the tiebreaker for seeding purposes. Now, both teams in that hypothetical would be champions. They would be co-champions. They would get banners. They would be recognized as co-champions. But from a seeding perspective, the seeding tiebreaker is based on head-to-head of next best team in the league. In that scenario, Utah State's the 1 seed. They're 2-0 this year against Boise State. San Diego State right now is 0-1, so the best the Aztecs can do is 1-1. In a 3-way tie, I think the tie-breaking scenario is breaking the tie among the 3 teams. So if it's Utah State, San Diego State, Boise State, I could be wrong on this, so don't quote me. But in that scenario, what's your record against the other 2 teams? The best San Diego State can do is 2-2, 1-1 against Boise State, 1-1 against Utah State. But in that hypothetical, Utah State would be 3-1. They'd be 2-0 against Boise State, 1-1 against San Diego State. They would be the league champs in terms of seeding and would get the 1 seed in that hypothetical. I think I have that right. Don't quote me on it, but I think I have that right, which means the 1 seed for the Aztecs in the Mountain West tournament is a challenge. Not out of the woods, by the way. What if Utah State slips up? What if they lose one of the games in front of New Mexico? And what if the Aztecs win out and Utah State still loses a couple of games? Same thing with Boise State. So we can't say definitively the Aztecs are not going to be the 1 seed in the Mountain West tournament, but it's going to take real work for that to transpire. Can they still be a co-champion? Yeah, absolutely. But they do need help for that as well, because they will need Utah State to lose one of its remaining games. And San Diego State will need to win out for that hypothetical to occur. That's looking a little bit ahead, is what I would say. And thank you again, Kevin, for the super chat. That's looking a little bit ahead. What I would say right now is that San Diego State is up to a season high, catapulting to 16th at KenPom. Started the day at 18th, dropped back to 20th with all the results, moved to 16 with a 32-point win. That matters. We'll see what the net looks like tomorrow. They came into the day 18th. Obviously, that matters. But these 3 regular season games in the Mountain West tournament matter. Like right now, yes, we all have aspirations of hopefully seeing San Diego State win either or both a regular season title and a tournament title. No doubt about it. Everyone feels the same way. You've come this far. They're 21-7. They've got this great resume. No bad losses, 7 quad 1 losses. That's it right now on their schedule. So you've come this far. But, obviously you're trying to finish off the resume. Put yourself in the best position possible to lock down a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. We've talked about this over the last week or so. If you've been with me on the wrap-up show, top 4 seeds are protected. Doesn't guarantee you stay in the West. It makes it likely, I believe, because there aren't a lot of top 4 seed caliber teams in the Western footprint of the country. There are a few. St. Mary's, San Diego State, certainly Arizona. Maybe I'm missing someone. But it gives you a really realistic shot of being in either Spokane or Salt Lake City if you're a top 4 seed. I don't know if you can say that if you're a 5 seed or worse. So that is, to me, as much of a goal as the other goals are. They're all goals, and maybe one helps the other. But if you can somehow navigate 3-0 down the stretch, yeah, it matters if you win a regular season title, because obviously these players want to win titles. That's why they're here. But if you don't secure the title, but you go 3-0 down the stretch, you certainly haven't hurt your resume. You've only helped it. And you've put yourself in a position where you're getting closer to locking down a top 4 seed. Now, can you be passed from behind by teams in other leagues that have more challenging schedules and they get more marquee wins? Yeah, absolutely. Could you lose the Mountain West tournament? Could that potentially drop you back a seed line? Yeah, depending on opponent. I guess that's all possible. But like winning takes care of the rest. If you can win here against San Jose State, followed up with a week of preparation for UNLV, that thing is a huge game. It just is. Let me see UNLV's schedule, by the way, coming up before the Aztecs. So UNLV gets this big win tonight over Colorado State at home. Colorado State is 8-7 in the Mountain West. They were ranked 22nd in the nation, and they're in 7th place right now, I think, in the Mountain West Conference. I think I have that right. So UNLV on Tuesday is at Wyoming. Obviously, no walk in the park. Now, Wyoming lost today, blowout fashion, to Boise State. Boise State's vying for a regular season title. So a really good win, I would say, for Boise State. Wyoming has still been good at home, not as good as they were earlier. I think they've lost 3 times now at home. So UNLV has that. They then come home a week from tonight to take on San Jose State. They'll be heavily favored to win that game. And then they'll follow it up Tuesday, a week from Tuesday for San Diego State, March 5th against the Aztecs. Then they close in Reno against Nevada. Nevada got them recently last weekend, closed on a 10-0 run and ends up winning the game by 1 point. So UNLV has had some heartbreaking late losses where they've blown leads. Utah State, infamously, they led by 4, gave up a 5-point play, essentially. And then the other night against Nevada. So they've been helter-skelter, but they're talented, as a lot of teams in this league are. So it'll be a real challenge, I would say, for San Diego State at UNLV. So first order of business is make sure you secure a top 5 seed, because nobody wants to be the 6th seed or worse and have to play day 1 of the Mountain West tournament. We've talked about why, obviously. So lock down a top 5 seed. How do you do that? I can't guarantee it, but I think 2-1 or better, and San Diego State is in pretty good position, I think, to be a top 5 seed. 3-0, obviously, they'll be a top 5 seed. They could, be as high as the 1 seed in that scenario. So 2-1 or better. Again, I haven't crunched all the numbers of the math. I think you'd feel good about San Diego State being a top 5 seed. 3-0 or better. Again, you feel good about the overall body of work to be maybe a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. And even if you did go 2-1 and get a top 5 seed, and then maybe you win 3 games in 3 days, I think still there. I mean, you got a darn good resume at that point, you know? So again, all you can control right now is winning these games. And that's what San Diego State did. And that's what Brian Dutcher talked about this week. He said it was like a little bit like wooden-esque. Like, we can't control other results. We had an opportunity against Utah State, and credit to the Aggies, they won the game. So now all the Aztecs can do is win the games that are on their schedule moving forward. And that's what they did tonight. So let's talk a little bit about how they did it tonight. I mean, again, Fresno State, undermanned, undersized, but that doesn't take away from San Diego State's performance. The way they came out with such energy, and they were just so motivated from the opening tip of this game, right? I mean, they led 12-0. Jaedon LeDee hits an early 3. Micah Parrish had 2 of the first 10, had 2 of the first field goals for the Aztecs. I think 2 of the first 3 or 2 of the first 4. He had 5 of their first 10 points. Now he gets 10 points. He had 7 rebounds and assists in this game. He was 3 of 10 from the floor, but I thought Micah offensively looked better, especially early. I know people are going to point to Lamont, 2 points, 1 of 6 shooting, but he was in foul trouble. He did have 5 rebounds. He did have 3 assists, only 1 turnover. In fact, Lamont with Darian, I mean, Darian was great. 6 assists, no turnovers, 33 minutes. Lamont and Darian, 9 assists, 1 turnover in this game. That's about as much as you could ask from your point guards. And again, Lamont was in foul trouble. I thought he played really good defense. He only played 19 minutes in the game. I know he didn't score against Utah State on Tuesday, but how about Jay Powell's emergence? I just talked about this on the radio. To transfer and get your final year here and elevate to the Mountain West Conference, which is challenging, obviously, and to play for this program and to improve the way he's improved. And he's just so smooth right now. He's just emerging, and he's playing well at both ends. 14 points, 6 of 9, the emphatic slam early in the second half. The highlight of the night, in a night filled with highlights. He had 14 points, 5 rebounds in 23 minutes. I thought Reese Waters was terrific off the bench today. 24 minutes, 12 points, 5 of 11, hit a pair of threes. Parrish hit a pair of threes in this game. Trammell hit a 3. LeDee hit a 3. Saunders hit a 3. Aztecs weren't perfect from beyond the arc. They were actually below their season average, but they hit 8, which is a big number. 8 of 27. Fresno State was 5 of 27. By the way, I've kind of buried the lead as we've gotten started here. The Aztecs, everyone's going to talk about LeDee and the 12-0 start and winning by 32. They won the game on defense. Fresno State shot 24.6% as a team. 24.6% as a team. And the Aztecs were plus 18 on the glass. I mean, that's a combination right there. And the Aztecs, by the way, defensive efficiency. Remember, Utah State, I forget what they shot, 50% the other night. So the Aztecs took a drop back in defensive efficiency. With tonight's performance, they're back to 7th in the nation in defensive efficiency. Remember, last year they finished 4th. Last year, I think they finished 74th in offensive efficiency. They're 52nd right now. So improved on offense, very similar on defense. and 21-7 overall, playing one of the nation's toughest schedules here in 2024. But, the Aztecs shot it well overall. I think they missed their last 4 or 5 field goal attempts, but again, they were going deep onto their bench in the final 4 or 5 minutes, which I think was a good thing. They turned it over for the game 5 times. That's it. And they were plus 18 on the glass. They had 17 offensive rebounds. They had 28 points in the paint. Fresno State had 3 assists in the game. Now, they only had 14 field goals, but 3 assists. The Aztecs had 13 on 28 made field goals. So, everything pointed to San Diego State. Fast break points. San Diego State had a 17-0 edge. SDSU had 9 blocks in this game, 3 of them for Jaedon LeDee, a career high. Couple for Miles Heide. I thought Heide off the bench is really good in his 12 minutes. 5 rebounds, a couple offensive, a couple of blocks in there. I think everyone played a role tonight, to be honest. That's how I saw it. And again, you didn't want to play a lot of guys a lot of minutes, and you didn't. You just didn't. Jaedon, 26 minutes for him is like a walk in the park for you and I. Like, he doesn't play fewer than 26 minutes. And he's played 36 minutes and 38 minutes. And, you don't have the absurd turnaround. This isn't like the Mountain West tournament or even the NCAA tournament. You get 2 days here, but you have travel. You got to travel back. They'll do that tonight. They'll practice Sunday and Monday. That's what Brian Dutcher told Ted on the postgame show. And then they'll play Tuesday. And they'll play Tuesday late at 8 p.m. And they got to be ready, obviously, for the Spartans. But again, to not have to play more than one player 30 minutes, I think is a huge win. In fact, your starters, LeDee 26, Butler 19, Pal 23, Paris 24, Waters off the bench 24. Again, Trammell was the only with 30 minutes. He played 33. But other than that, nobody played more than 26. So that's pretty encouraging, and that's a good sign, especially when you beat someone by 32 points. Thank you, Aztec J, for the super chat and the support of the channel. This may be a super sticker, which doesn't appear using the software I use through StreamYard. You might be seeing it right now on YouTube, though. I'm not sure, but I do appreciate your support of the channel and the contribution. So thank you so much for the super chat. But that's just kind of the 15 to 20 minute soliloquy on where we are, which is in a pretty good spot. Where we are tonight. The recap of the evening, and just a really good night. I thought they did a good job on Fresno's 3-point shooters. Isaiah Hill's a great player. He had 1 assist in 2 games against the Aztecs. He was averaging 8.4 assists in his last 10 games coming in. Now he scored 12 points, but on 5 of 14 shooting. 1 of 6 from beyond the arc. Xavier Dussel was shooting 56% from deep in his last 4 games. He was 4 of 13 tonight, 2 of 10. Like, they got capable players, veterans, 4 senior starters. I know they're missing a lot, a couple of centers, a good wing. Like, they're missing a lot. They really are, and you're sympathetic to that. You are, but take nothing away, again, from San Diego State is what I would say here today. All right, I want to get to your comments here in a moment. I do want to remind, though, our viewers about my buddy Eric Lanier, who is in the chat here tonight at Higher Impact Financial. Click the link in the description down below. I just met with Eric within the last couple of weeks. It was really eye-opening is what it was, because as much time as I spend doing this and consuming sports and doing my radio show and doing YouTube shows, I really don't have a good grasp for my financial now or my financial future, if I'm being honest. And Eric is going to make it simple and easy for you. That's what he did for me. Maybe you're thinking about retirement. Maybe you're thinking about your upcoming taxes. Maybe you're thinking about a 1, 3, 5, 10-year plan. Let Eric Lanier help you with a free 15-minute consultation. Couldn't be easier, couldn't be simpler, and couldn't be more valuable. So if you have any financial needs, get in contact with Eric Lanier at Higher Impact Financial, the title sponsor of the Wrap-Up Show. Click the link in the description down below. Let him know I sent you. He is a Southern Californian and a huge Aztec fan, and he can help you and your family with your financial planning needs. All right, let's get back to it. And thank you again, Eric. I see JD Gacho is in the chat. Thank you, JD Gacho, for your support with the super chat as well. 2 words for New Mexico. I haven't done the dive on New Mexico's resume. It's probably hard to do until we see the net rankings tomorrow. Listen, it's hard to go through an entire season and avoid bad losses. It's something San Diego State has done a remarkable job of under Brian Dutcher. Just remarkable. Winning the games they are supposed to win. And New Mexico got off to a similar start to last year. They were the nation's last undefeated team last year. Struggled down the stretch, didn't make the NCAA tournament. This year appeared to be different, but now they've really fallen on hard times, and they do have work to do. I think there's, I don't know if there's an official Mountain West lock. If there is one at San Diego State, when you say lock, that means can you just lose out and be in? Could San Diego State lose to San Jose State, UNLV, Boise, and the first round of the Mountain West tournament? Nobody wants to see it. So let's not even envision it. And BN, they probably still could, by the way. But you get my point. Like, that's how I use lock. Like, can you lose out? I know this. New Mexico is far from a lock, and they have two challenging road games. Where do they still have to go? Boise and Utah State, maybe? Like, they got to get one of those, would be my guess, because you're going to have bid stealers, and you've had other teams emerge in the Mountain West. So, I think they're certainly on the bubble. They're not off it, and they might be on the right side of the bubble today, but without a victory at either Boise or Utah State, um, they're running out of opportunities to improve their resume. And we always knew, I've said this a lot, 6 teams in the NCAA tournament from the Mountain West was throwing the needle, and 5 isn't guaranteed. I think ultimately you're going to get to that 4 number or more, and I thought 5 was very realistic. This New Mexico thing puts a little bit of a wrench into that, and from an Aztec perspective, you can't concern yourself with it. You just can't. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are rooting for the Mountain West to get as many teams as possible, and I am as well. But at the end of the day, San Diego State's got to control what it does, and if one of these 6 teams or 5 other teams slip down the stretch, that's basketball. That's I think more likely than not that somebody was going to have a hard time closing. And right now, it appears to be New Mexico. Now, can they redeem it? Can they avenge it? Yeah, they can. They have opportunities. They absolutely have real opportunities to get into the NCAA tournament, but they got to capitalize on it. And it's not easy winning in Boise. Not with the way the Broncos are playing right now. It's not easy winning in Logan. Not with the way Utah State plays at home and just has played overall this year as well. So good super chat, JD Gacho. I'm with you. That is a head scratcher. I watched a lot of it. I watched the last 10 minutes of it, and they took a lead. They used an 11-0 run. They led by 5. You figured the game was over. Credit to Air Force. They made shots. I mean, they made plays and shots down the stretch. New Mexico didn't. New Mexico really hurt themselves throughout portions of that game. Okay, let's see here. Let me get to some of these. Sarah, what's going on? Good to have you here in the chat. Good to see, by the way, quoted in that Washington Post article from earlier this week. If you haven't read that article, that is a must read for Aztec fans. I did a video on it, actually, from our conversation with the author, Chuck Culpepper. So that is a must read. Sarah, thank you for your membership. Thank you for hanging out. Like you said, a very good day. Yeah, Lobos did their thing, and the Aztecs did their thing. And it's cool that you were seeing that joint training session as well. Michael says, hey, John, I just sent you a text about basketball at Elevation. You sent me a text? Oh, okay, yeah. I'm like, wait, I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, how do you have my number? On radio, right? He sent the text about Elevation. What I meant to ask was, do you believe that the ball actually bounces and shoots differently at Elevation, much like a baseball at Coors? I have no idea. It's such a good question, Michael. That's a great question from Brian Dutcher. I've talked to him a lot about Elevation over the years, but I haven't asked that specific question. I have no idea. I mean, I would think the indoor element of it would negate 99% of that, but that is such a good question. I know it's impactful from like a stamina perspective for the team. Everyone knows that. I don't know if it impacts the literal bounce of the ball. I have no idea. It's a great question, though. Maria, how are you? Thank you. Maria's a really, really loyal supporter of my work and the wrap-up show and John and Jim. So thank you, Maria. Good to have you here. Let's see here. I said this earlier. If you're new here, please subscribe. Whether you're an Aztec fan or a Mountain West basketball fan, I talk a lot of, excuse me, let me take some water here. Obviously, this time of year, talking a lot of Mountain West hoops, talking NCAA tournament, talking bracketology, providing a lot of content from John and Jim and kind of repurposing it over here as well. So if you're a Mountain West basketball fan, this is the place for you. Please do subscribe. And I think if you follow me or if you see the way I do content, I'm not here to disparage any other team or fan base or whatever. I mean, this is obviously an Aztec slanted channel. This is an Aztec first channel, but we're here to talk about it. If Boise State wins the league, Boise State wins the league. If New Mexico misses the tournament or makes the tournament, we'll talk about how that kind of played out in the days and weeks ahead. And then on cue, nice beatdown against the Fresnex. Thank you, Brian, for the comment. Eric is the title sponsor. I told you about him. Again, if you have financial needs, please click the link in the description down below. Get in contact with Eric Lanier at Higher Impact Financial. Set up that free consultation with Eric. And Eric, I'm with you, man. I mean, this team is, I've said this a lot, like you reset on the season, and this is a team that had the highest expectations in program history, fairly or unfairly, because last year's team is different from this year's team. And you're coming off an appearance in the national championship game, and it's easier said than done to put together a season like this, and they've just done it. They've picked up marquee wins. They've avoided bad losses. There's no guarantee they're winning a regular season title, but they put themselves in the position to win a regular season title. They're ranked here late in the season. I mean, they've overcome everything to get to this spot. The Silva family says with the change of the lineup, our bench now seems deeper. Yeah, it's just there's a comfort there. I mean, Miles and Elijah off the bench, they had a couple of big moments in the first half, maybe back-to-back threes at one point. Obviously, I mean, Reese Waters coming off your bench. How many times have you heard over the last year he was the sixth man of the year in the Pac-12? I mean, he's been great off the bench. Miles Heide has improved throughout the course of the season. So that's a really astute point. It's a really great point. It really is. Gary, good to have you here. Thank you for your membership. Yeah, he mentioned on radio on the text line Air Force. He meant San Jose State. That's what I thought you meant. We play San Jose State, a classic trap game. Boise gets a streaky, dangerous Air Force team in the Springs. Yes. And you are so right about our guards. 9-1 assist to turnovers is better than elite. It is. And again, not every player is going to score 20 points on 8 of 11 shooting. Players do it in different ways. And Darian tonight 7 points, but he was a point guard first, 6 assists, no turnovers. That's brilliance. And Lamont did it with defense and 3 assists, 1 turnover. You're absolutely going to take that. And you can't complain about 32-point wins. I know that. As a lifelong sports fan, complaining about 32-point wins is a failed exercise. I know that. Steve says, this is the time of year that we shine. Time to win 3 in a row. Regular season, 3 in a row in the Mountain West Conference tournament. I like that. I think Aztec fans would like that a lot. It's crazy. We're heading towards March, folks. Here we are again. Deja vu all over again. San Diego State playing good basketball, heading towards March. Brian says UNLV is so puzzling this year. We need to take care of them. They're both puzzling and really talented, is what I would say. I think Rebel fans would say the same thing. Like, they've had some misfortune that's put them where they are. I mean, they absolutely had Utah State dead to rights and couldn't win that game. And if they won that game, that included a 5-point play and a controversial officiating call at the end of the game, they would only have 4 league losses. They would be tied for first place right now. And even with that loss, they're only 1 game back in the loss column here at the end of February. Brian E saying, yeah, right, Vegas, Viejas East. Yeah, Thomas, the freshman point guard. Both will get him, and then they switch a lot, obviously. So you're throwing everyone at him. He's a really good player. We saw that on display for Viejas. He's a really talented player, very capable scorer, good distributor. And who knows what he looks like now? I mean, it's been 2 months since we saw him at Viejas. So, you would imagine that he's really gained some confidence and improved. He's had some late game situations earlier in the year that didn't go his way. But again, now they're starting to win some of those close games that they were losing earlier in the year. Christopher says this is why we are rooting for UNLV to finish as high as possible. Oh, because San Diego State still has to play them, you're saying? Yeah, I think you root for UNLV, I guess, to win the games other than when they play San Diego State. I don't know if it was on radio or here earlier. If they're in the top 75 of the net and you lose to them, it's a quad 1 loss. If they're in the top 75 of the net and you beat them in Vegas, it's a quad 1 win. They're 88th entering the day. They just beat Colorado State, but they were actually favored in the game. They probably move up between 2 and 4 spots. I think they go from 88 to, let's just say, 85. They got real work to do to get to the top 75. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? Probably not. Their most likely path to top 75 is by beating San Diego State at the Thomas and Mack, which nobody wants to see. Lou says thoughts on Butler's slump. I mean, I appreciate you asking it that way. I mean, listen, it's 2 games. I haven't even looked at the numbers other than these last 2 games. I mean, these last 2 games, he's had 2 combined points, but the game before was that New Mexico home game, I think. Yeah, and he had 11 second half points and, outplayed Jalen House and had to play the game when he picked his pocket. So I'm not concerned at all. I mean, I just know Lamont. I know the work he puts in. I mean, I literally know him. I know what a phenomenal person he is. I know how much pride he takes in his game. I know how good of a defender he is. I know how much he wants it. So I have no concerns. And by the way, this season with this team, with Reese and Jaedon and Darian scoring ability and Micah's scoring ability, you don't need him to score 20 points. I mean, you'd love for him to obviously be the player who's capable of being on offense, and he has shown that throughout the course of this year at times as well. But I'm just not concerned about it because I think you can win games with Lamont's defense and with his passing ability and with the way he plays point under control, which by and large he's done this year. And his assist turnover ratio is way up, and his turnovers are way down between his junior and senior year. Gary says three-way tie, compare record to other tied teams, several other steps. Net is the final tiebreaker. That's good to know. Aztec Clyde says, enjoyed your interview with Tom Moster on his podcast. I don't know if it's Moster or Moser. Thank you, Aztec Clyde. Isn't LeDee a lock for Player of the Year and All-American at this point? That is a great question, Aztec Clyde. I appreciate you listening to that. We have a mutual friend. I spent time, as you guys, some of you know, not all of you, before I got out here about, 7+ years ago, spent time in Eastern Pennsylvania. Tom is actually doing a Mount West podcast from Delaware. And he's got a young child and he stays up late and he watches all the games and he records a lot of stuff. We record that interview at midnight Eastern. So Tom's a hustler. So if you haven't checked out the podcast, it's on. Find me on social media because I retweeted it within the last 24 hours. So search for @John Schaefer, JONSCHAEFFER. He does a very nice job with this podcast. It's a good resource for Aztec fans and Mountain West basketball fans. So check that out. And yeah, I was his last interview on this hour-long podcast. We probably talked for, 20 or 25 minutes. It was insightful. He did a nice job with it. So hopefully Aztec fans will enjoy that as well. Is he a lock? Lock's probably too strong of a word, is what I would say. Because if Utah State wins this league, could Great Osobor get Player of the Year? If Utah State wins this league outright? If Boise State wins the league outright, could Tyson Degenhart get it? So I don't think he's a lock. I think he's in good shape. I don't think he's a lock. And I don't know what the All-America race looks like. He should be. He's absolutely top 15 players, your first, second, or third team All-American. How could he not be? How could he not be? He's been so consistent all year long. So how could he not be? But again, lock's a strong word. When you start getting into media voting, lock is probably a strong word. I'm going to get to as many as I can here over the next 10 minutes, and then I got to roll because it's 10:30 at night, and I just did a radio wrap-up show as well. And I can't do this until all night long, can I? I mean, I can, but I probably shouldn't. Neil says today is more about Air Force's win than San Diego State's blowout. Yeah, for the Mountain West overall, what's the lead? Yeah, but from a San Diego State perspective, this blowout is pretty nice too. But yeah, no, there's no question about it. That's the most significant story that transpired today in the Mountain West Conference. Christopher says Dutch needs to take minutes from Butler and Parrish and give them to Waters and Bird. Okay, so Waters today played more minutes than Butler and Parrish. Bird played 12 minutes, but everything was working for everyone. I mean, it's, whatever, right? 12 minutes, 3 points, 3 rebounds, hit a 3. That's all good. There's nothing I see in this game from Butler or Parrish that would make me change anything. I mean, Parrish only played 24 minutes and Butler only played 19 minutes. You're going to need them to play that many minutes or more. I promise you that. You're absolutely going to need that. Yeah, I'm sending a message that I like wearing Aviator Nation. That's right, Flipper. That's absolutely right. I am. Yeah, he's so skilled. He's super skilled and super athletic and super smart and super poised. Right? That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing. I'm with you, Lou. Let's see. Do I think Aztec J wants to know, do I think New Mexico can win at Utah State? Yes, I absolutely think they can win there. I don't think it's easy. I think they'll be an underdog. I don't know if it's as good as a coin flip. They'll be an underdog, would be my guess. But yeah, can they win there? Yeah, Nevada's won there. I think they can win there. I think New Mexico at its best is one of the better teams in the league. I think, but when they don't play to their ability, they're capable of an upset, which is what happened today. And by the way, most teams are capable of that. If they overlook someone, that can happen. Kevin says SDSU, one of only 5 teams in the top 30 of the net with no quad 2 or worse losses. Now, that may change if New Mexico drops from 20 to 31 or below, which may happen, by the way, with this loss. I would not be surprised at all if that happens because then no, I have that wrong, right, guys? Because the loss would still be a quad 1 loss because it happened at the pit and the win was at home. The win would just go from quad 1 to quad 2. So I apologize. I think you're right, Kevin. I think that's absolutely right. Now, assuming Colorado State's staying inside the top 30, by the way, right? Because now I'm confusing myself because that was a road loss as well and a home win. Yeah, great point, Kevin. Great point. Flipper says 2 words for New Mexico. Don't lose to Air Force Dome. Yeah, that's more than 2 words, but yeah, spot on. All right, Flipper, try to be let's be an adult here in the chat if we can, if possible, because I'm looking at some of these comments. Let's see here. Aztec Analytics, what's going on, man? At Utah State final game of the season, we played home versus Boise. We should all be big Lobo fans that day. Well, here's the thing: if San Diego State wins out in the regular season, they will be alive to get a share come that Saturday because the Aztecs play Friday and Utah State doesn't play New Mexico until Saturday. So entering Saturday, there will be pressure on Utah State in that scenario. They would have to win the game to avoid at least a share. So maybe that adds a little bit of additional pressure. But San Diego State cannot be eliminated from a share if they win out until the day after the regular season finale, should Utah State win out and beat New Mexico, if that makes sense. Adam says, great W. We need more of these blowouts. The net loves blowouts. One of the reasons St. Mary's went from like over 100 in the net to top 20. Yeah, they've been killing everyone in the WCC. Yeah, it's based on efficiency per possession. And what that means is every possession matters, which is good. And it's worked out very well for San Diego State over the years. The one negative is like you're thinking about margins so constantly, it doesn't really afford you the opportunity to go deeper on your bench sometimes because you have a 20-point lead and all of a sudden it goes down to 10 like what happened against Air Force, that can hurt you a little bit metrically. Again, at the end of the day, does it really matter? Not as much as people probably think, but it matters. It does. It does matter. But I'm saying if you're winning, I'm not losing sleep over a 12-point win as opposed to an 18-point win if you've got good metrics. If you have good metrics. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. When Air Force shoots it, like any team, it's the equalizer. I mean, you hit 10, 12, 14 threes. I don't know how many threes they hit today, but you start getting up there in numbers, and that's a lot of points per possession. Flipper says exactly. I'll be viewing the Lobos at Utah State. This is our only shot to win the conference, in my opinion. Looking at San Diego State's forthcoming games, we should win out. I mean, should might be a strong word. I mean, Boise State is playing great basketball. Yeah, you get them at Viejas, and the Aztecs haven't lost to Viejas. And UNLV they've won 7 of 8. I think they're the hottest team in the league. So it's not easy. Definitely not going to be easy. Yeah, man. What a year for UCSD. Where are they in like the net coming into the day? UCSD. What's hold on. San Diego. 111, which is impressive. Which means San Diego State's win there is a quad 2 road win. Is that right? I think I have that right. Yeah, it's a quad 2 road win. And they beat Irvine, right? Today. And Irvine was where? I mean, that's an amazing win. Irvine was 81st. That's a good win, a really good win. So yeah, they'll move up from 111. They'll be, I don't know, inside the 105. They've had a really good year. They have. Yeah, I just saw Bryce Pope hit a 3 to send it to overtime, then they won in overtime. Yeah, I heard it was a good game. I just saw on social media. Adam says they need to demolish these inferior teams. No let ups. Just keep being consistent. We'll be fine. 4 seed incoming. That's like the $1 million question. Can you lock down a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament? Because there is a difference between a 4 and a 5, and you never know. I mean, you could be better suited as a 5. Look at last year; they make a national championship game, or you could be better suited as a 4. I think initially you're just thinking the higher the seed, the better, and that's what I'm thinking right now. So if you can lock down a 4, that's going into the year. If I would have told you that they'd have a higher seed this year than last year, I think a lot of Aztec fans would have signed up for that. All day Ed says you got to love the grit this team has. I agree with you. I do. Yeah, and Tatum's exactly like I just said. Dane wants to know Magungua's status still listed on the roster. Did they redshirt him? Yes, he has been redshirted. He will not appear in 24. He was banged up a little bit. I think they considered it maybe in the middle of the season, but with the depth and the rotation they have right now and coming off an injury and being a true freshman, I think they're going to rely on him, next year in 24, 25. Let's see here. Bill says, don't think Lamont is in a shooting slump. He does so much and doesn't look to score. Just need to read the D better and his shots will come. I would count on him in the clutch if we needed a basket. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm kind of with you. I think it's much ado about very little. I really do. I don't think it's reason for social media chatter. I really don't. I mean, it's just there's ebbs and flows in the season. I had Brian Dutcher on his coach's show on Thursday, and he basically said something comparable. I mean, it's just everyone wants to be good every single game, but there's only so many All-Americans. I mean, Jaedon's season has been so amazing that if you're kind of hold him as the standard to everyone else, that's probably not, fair. And there's obviously a lot of attention on Lamont. considering what he did a year ago. So, you add it all up. And again, I'm not the 21-7, and Lamont's a reason why they've gotten to that point, is what I would say. This came in. This I didn't get to this earlier, did I, Michael? Thank you, Michael. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate you being here. He says, "Great show and always great Aztec content, John." Thanks. Thank you, Michael. Seriously, really do appreciate that. That means a lot. Um, let's see here. Get to a couple of more. Okay, Adam's point exactly. Colorado State. Where are they in the net? Can someone? I'll look it up. Colorado 26 losing in Vegas. They were a 1.5 point underdog. They lost by like 4 or 6. I mean, they're not going to fall to 30 right now. They could drop anywhere 1 to 3 spots is my guess. They're probably 27, 28, 29 tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, these teams have to be careful. New Mexico, Colorado State. Now, with all that being said, maybe other teams start to emerge. Like when I look at Utah State's 31st. Can they get back inside the top 30? Yeah, of course they can. Can Boise State get inside the top 30? They just won at Wyoming by 20. They were 35th today. They might get a bump from 35 to like 31 off that win, something like that. Nevada's 42nd. Could they improve 12 spots? That might be a little wishful, but it's at least possible. Neil says, "Thanks for staying up and doing the show. I live in rainy Seattle now, and this show makes me feel at home." That's awesome, Neil. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm here for Aztec fans, wherever you are, whether it's live or on replay. Um, Football fans, basketball fans. Try to cover as much San Diego State sports news as I can, and doing these after games, I think is makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad people can join. Yes, Boise will be senior night. That's gonna be a really special night. What a senior class. What a senior class. Every year we say that, and we're saying it again. I agree. Yep. No, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, JD. Gotcha. Let's see here. Is this KJ maybe? I think it took Trammell a while to get going after his injury, but then I started seeing that great on-ball D, squaring his guys up. The offense started to come. Now he seems like primary point guard. He's playing some good basketball. And man, that mid-range game with Darion is pretty. He has some big games on the road too, doesn't he? He just looks so comfortable sometimes on the road. Always seems to knock down an early three on the road. He's such a good player. Underrated, in my opinion, for his 2 years here. He's just such a good player. Force goes Fabio. Matt West going to get 4 bids. Someone will steal a bid. Who gets left out? Well, you could say they get 5 and someone steals a bid because there's 6 teams with real resumes. And that includes New Mexico, even with today. They got a real resume. I don't know if they're going to get in. I think they have work to do, but they have a real resume. Among the 6 today, who would get left out? Maybe New Mexico based on today. But the Colorado State, Utah State, San Diego State, Boise State. I think that 4, they all have nice resumes. Again, Colorado State's 8-7 in the league, but I think from a resume perspective, they look really good. I think Nevada and New Mexico's are probably a little bit below that. That's how I see it, and I think they probably have the most work to do between now and Selection Sunday. That's how I see it. And then, is there a bid stealer out there in the country? Yeah, probably. On average, there's like 2.3 bid stealers per year. I saw that from Rocco Miller, who's a bracketologist that I follow. Some years there could be 1, some years there could be 3, some years I guess you could have like 0 potentially. So it's something to keep track of. And shoot, you could have a bid stealer in the Mountain West in UNLV potentially playing on their home floor. Flipper says, "What do you think about our game at UNLV? This is looking scary now. We used to destroy everyone at that venue. I mean, San Diego State's record, regardless of location against UNLV, is amazing. And then San Diego State's record at Thomas and Mack, regardless of opponent, is amazing. I don't know what to think of it now. I got to see how UNLV plays the next couple of games. We got to get through Tuesday night. There'll be a lot of time to analyze that game. I think it's a big challenge. That's how I feel about it right now. I think it'll take maybe one of the best performances of the year for San Diego State. You're not going to have that crazy environment. You're not going to have a sellout. You're not going to have a Logan Boise Pitt environment. But I think if UNLV keeps playing well, and I was watching their game today. I mean, they had a good environment today. I think they'll have a good enough environment. I'm sure there'll be tons of Aztec fans. If you're thinking about making a trip to Vegas for the Mountain West tournament, think about making a trip for that UNLV game before the Mountain West tournament. They can use your support at that game. And there's always a ton of Aztec fans whenever the Aztecs play UNLV in Vegas. Couple more. I just occasionally saying Lamont seems to miss open guys at times. I'm not seeing. I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch. And then says, would love to see a Utah State San Diego State tournament final. Shoot, I'll take a San Diego State against any of the other 10 teams in the league tournament final. That's what I'm signing up for here in 2024. All right, guys, much more for you. Again, Tuesday, San Diego State, San Jose State. Be there, Viejas Arena, 8 p.m. Pre-game coverage, San Diego Sports 760 at 7 p.m. Listen on the radio if you're local in Southern California or on the free iHeartRadio app. And please subscribe to the wrap-up show presented by Eric Lanier at Higher Impact Financial. I have year-round content for Aztec fans and Mountain West basketball fans. Subscribe, smash the like button, follow me on Twitter at John Schaefer. If you're here on replay, thank you for the super thanks as well. If you want the audio-only edition of the show, click the link in the description down below. I podcast every single episode. Maybe you don't want the video, you just want the audio. Click the link in the description down below if you just want the audio. Appreciate you guys. And of course, catch me on John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, 3 to 6 weekdays. Free iHeartRadio app, also by searching for John and Jim 760 on YouTube or on San Diego Sports 760. Kevin, thank you. Adriana, appreciate you and your membership. That means a lot. Thank you so much, Adriana. I hope I'm saying that right. I think is that how you would say it? Thanks so much, John. Great show as always. Go Aztecs. Force Ghost Fabio says, thanks, John. No doubt, Flipper. I agree with you. Support San Diego State. At the Thomas and Mac. Brian says, thanks. Maria, thanks. All Day Ed, thanks. Thank you guys. Seriously. Again, San Diego State convincingly, definitively, with authority tonight over Fresno State at the Save Mart Center, 73-41. San Jose State awaits. Second to last home game of the year is Tuesday night at 8 p.m. And we'll have much more for you on that one and what's to come for the Aztecs in the days and weeks ahead. All right. My name is John Schaefer. You've been watching the wrap-up show. Again, if you have any financial needs, get in contact with Eric Lanier at Higher Impact Financial by clicking the link in the description down below and setting up a free 15-minute consultation. Until next time, I'm John Schaefer. Thanks, guys. Take care.